I appreciate you. I like looking at you. Your name's popping up on the screen. I like to see you here. This show would literally not exist were it not for you guys. Thank you so much. It's a privilege and an honor to be here talking with you like we do every day. Today's topic, usually we talk about movies, but we can talk about whatever you want. Today we're talking about movie cameos and your favorite movie cameos of all time. Which one is it? Is it Bill Murray in Zombieland? Which is your favorite Stan Lee cameo in the movies, in the Marvel movies universe? Let me know. We're going to talk about it. We kind of ease into it sometimes because you know what? Not everybody is here at the same time every day. So I'm going to talk about some trending news, guys. We go into the trends. We do hot topics. Look at me. I'm doing the hot topics. Okay? It's really funny. That's really funny. It's like the view up in here. Asheville, they're doing some reparations. That's pretty neat. About time, right? People talk about reparations and they're like, what? Reparations for like 150 years ago? What you talking about, Willis? Let me tell you something. You know, maybe the laws changed, but society takes a minute to catch up. That's what we've learned in society, haven't we? When you change the rules, people take friggin' 10 minutes, you know, on a glacial scale, 10 minutes on a geologic scale, we'll say. Those minutes, they take a long time. Let's say if the Earth is 1 hour a year old. That doesn't make any sense. Let's say, I feel like I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson in the cosmos. I'm trying to demonstrate the length of the universe. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is hilarious because he's always very serious about what he's saying. Now, if you were to take water, he says water because he's from New York. He says water. Now, if you were to take an asteroid from outer space and then heat it up, you would find water inside that asteroid. What's up, Angie? Thank you. Sometimes it takes a minute for my brain to start working because usually, I don't know, I'm kind of walking around all morning singing. I'm not actually talking or forming thoughts. I'm just singing Hamilton. And so that's what I was doing this morning. I don't know what you guys were up to. What's up, Veronica? The coffee takes a minute to kick in. Caffeine takes like 20 minutes. Once we get rolling, we get shot out of a cannon. Damn it. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson as the rock biter. These look like big, strong asteroid, meteorite, vintage. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's very serious. It's very funny because he's always so serious on the Cosmos series, but in real life he was always very, very energetic, and when he did this Cosmos series, I think they're coming out with another season of Cosmos. Hey, Lori 3040, hello. We're just talking about asteroids. You know, why are they called asteroids? Anyway, asteroids, hemorrhoids should be called asteroids, and asteroids should be called spaceballs. That's all I have to say about that. Neil deGrasse Tyson gets all shot up. He's like all excited, you know? He's always, well, I'm going to tell you the difference between an asteroid and a hemorrhoid. But when he was in the Cosmos, he was very serious. He was very serious about everything. When Galileo discovered the moons of Saturn, I don't know, I felt let down by Neil deGrasse. By ND, how do you say that? How do you do NDT, NDGT? Neil deGrasse. I don't know. I like him. I think he's funny, but he always says water. One of the most essential elements on Earth is water. Drink the water. He's from New York, okay? I'm from New York. He's the curator of the Hayden Planetarium. It's a pretty cool planetarium if you ever get the chance to go there. I went there. It's right next to the Museum of Natural History in the Upper West Side. It's pretty cool. Near the Dakota, where John Lennon used to live. Well, it's nice to see you guys here. I'm very happy that you're here. It's nice that we can establish a rhythm, an established show that we can do every day. We can see each other. This show would literally not exist if were it not for this community that we're building. This is exciting. Today we're talking about Cameo. Not just the group. We're talking about cameos in movies. Library? Is your mother-in-law from New York? You gotta go to the library. Gotta go to the library. The Lori 3040 says her mother-in-law says library. I heard that a lot growing up.
Let me just say that I'm also from New York, and I have many doctorates in all sorts of different alien sciences. I'm Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci. I'm also from New York. You cannot mistake my accent for anywhere else. I don't sound like I'm from Minnesota or anything like that, or Dagobah. I'm not from Dagobah. You might remember that I exiled myself there for like 40 years or something. Anyway, wash your damn hands, okay? Come on, how many times do I gotta tell you this? Neil.
Yes, Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci from the outer rim of the galaxy. If you look out into the galaxy, you can use your telescopes at home. Go to the...
I don't have a face for Neil deGrasse Tyson. I need a face for...
If you go to the observatory on the hill, you can look out into the cosmos.
Listen, NDGT, you sound like a crazy person when you're talking about water and all that stuff. All right, I'm gonna go get a coffee. Get out of here. Get out of here. Go wash your hands.
Thanks. Thanks, Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci. Washington, D.C. Yeah, New York. I grew up there. I'll tell you. California's got a different accent here. I got a California shirt on. Today says California. California's got a different accent. It's kind of like, it depends on what pocket of California. There's many blends of accent and degrees of the accent, but people definitely say like gnarly, dude. That's like totally gnarly. Like their voice is like way up here, you know. Some people, if you go to like the west side, but then there's like people that like talk like this, and they're like, it's kind of like a valley thing, but it's also like a little bit of like, I don't know. I'm gonna go put my tennies on. They say tennies. They say tennis shoes here. They don't say sneakers. I don't know. I think they've adopted the term sneakers by now. But sneakers is kind of a weird term too. What are you using? You're sneaking around with your sneakers? What's going on there? Getting back on track. Cameos. Do you guys remember when that congressperson, what was that guy? He was a Republican Congress, Fred Thompson. Remember when he was in Days of Thunder? He was an actor. He was an actual actor and a congressperson, Fred Thompson. Weird, right? He was a congressman and an actor. So it makes you wonder, how much of that stuff is he saying when he's trying to get elected just BS, just acting? I'll give you an answer. 100% of it. They say tennis shoes in North Carolina. Well, how about that? They also say a lot of things in North Carolina. What are some things they say in North Carolina that I've spent some time there, actually. I enjoy North Carolina. Some of the nicest people I've met are North Carolinians. And I say, North Carolina, there are some sayings down there. Tom Cruise's Les Grossman, that was pretty good. That's a good one. So if you guys are watching across the platforms, you can just join in. Here, I'm going to send the link to the Discord, to the various chats. You can hop onto the Discord and continue the discussion throughout the days and the nights. I'd like to give a shout out to our fan, Jake A., supporter of the channel, patron on Patreon. He's been given some helpful advice and some helpful hints, some helpful help for the show to help expand this show. So there's some exciting things in the future in store for y'all and for me and for everyone. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. We're going to blow this up. We're just going to blow it up because you know what? This is the new abnormal. That's what I call it. We live in a new abnormal. And I've recently come to terms with the fact that, hey, this is just how things are right now, and we've got to figure it out. For a while there, I was like waiting it out. I don't know if you were like me, but you might be like, I need to wait this out. I need to see what's going to happen. I need to see if we're going to open up or close down. But you know what? This is just the new abnormal. This is what we're doing now. So, if you're from New York, you say, I'm over here now. All right? So that's what I'm excited to do. I'm excited to bring out some new elements to the show, some new levels to the show, maybe even some more streaming that's going to be going on, some more musical inclusion, some more fun in general. So I'm excited to bring you that. I know we do the show 5 days a week, but we're going to up the ante. We're going to raise the bar for everything. Veronica, you're down to a cup a day, Veronica? That's pretty good. I only have 1 cup a day, and it's the size of my head. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Barbecue is a noun, not a verb. Like you would say, barbecue. Like, my uncle barbecue. Oh, that's a proper noun. I have an uncle barbecue. Lori 3040 says, buggy, not grocery cart. Pulled pork. Yeah, those are things I remember from North Carolina. I played lots of shows in North Carolina. I met lots of cool people in, like, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, like, different parts of North Carolina. Well, one of the Carolinas here, Asheville, by the way, is trending. Now that we're talking about North Carolina and we're talking about trends, Asheville is trending because they are actually voting to... the city approves reparations for black residents. I think that's interesting. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I was just saying earlier, when my brain wasn't quite working yet, I was talking about how society follows the law. So the law gets instated, and then it takes maybe decades, maybe centuries, for people to actually start to follow suit. So I find it good that there's finally an idea that, in order to even the playing field, there was instilled wealth in a lot of people who were of the majority at the end of the Civil War, and then the Jim Crow, and then the new Jim Crow. People just were continually, systemically kept out of the mainstream. And people want to argue that, but there's just data to back that up. There's data. There's actual evidence for this. If people want to argue that, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe do some research. But there's data that shows that there has been a systemic problem that favors one group over the other, which helps. And I think it is long overdue, Lori 3040. I think it's time that people get... Because just think about it. If your family goes back 10 generations in the United States, there's a wealth that is passed down, unless your family goes back to generations that were slaves. Because then when you were just released, you were like, okay, guys, you're free to go. Figure it out, I guess. That was pretty much the best plan that they got. You know, tipping in the United States, here's where tipping comes from. You know when you go to a restaurant and then they say, here's the price of the meal, and here's the suggested tip amount, and then you always tip. Americans tip, and you go to Europe, people don't tip like they do here. People don't understand the concept of tipping in other countries. The reason tipping exists in the United States is because freed slaves, people who had nowhere to go, had no jobs to do, would volunteer their service to bus tables 100 years ago. They would volunteer, 120 years ago, volunteer their service to bus tables at restaurants. And restaurants said, well, okay, well, we're not going to pay you. You can go ahead and do that, but we're not going to pay you. So it was up to the discretion of the person dining at that table whether or not they would leave the person who was cleaning up after them any money. And that's where tipping comes from. Slavery. Isn't that something? That's why we tip. It's a systemic thing. It exists because of slavery. Crazy, right? And they get paid. Yes, that's right, Lori 3040. They do get paid an actual working wage. If you were a server in Europe, you're getting paid to do your job as a server. In America, they don't give you, they give you like some ridiculous small amount. Last time I checked, I've never been a server, but I remember it was like $3.75 an hour. That might have been a while ago. Maybe it's like $7 an hour now or some ridiculous amount, because the restaurant still is like, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to pay you to work here. It's crazy. There needs to be a restructured deal. It's kind of nuts, guys. Cameos. If we're talking cameos, Stan Lee is the first name. Yeah, Stan Lee is K-Ferg. Welcome to the show. K-Ferg, yeah, I put Stan Lee on the thumbnail today because Stan Lee might be the king of all cameos, right? He's in everything. He's in every Marvel movie anyway. Stan Lee also got a raw deal. When he sold his, I think it was Avi Arad, and Stan Lee sold the rights to the Marvel universe to Sony back in the day. And then I think Stan Lee got like $3 million or something. It was kind of a ridiculously small amount compared to the amount of money that Marvel has since made. So he sold it also with the guarantee that he would get a cameo in every movie. And then it just became tradition to put Stan Lee in every movie. So Stan Lee has got, I don't know, 30 or so cameos in all of these Marvel movies, which is kind of amazing. However, he kind of got the raw deal, even though he created the lion's share of all these characters in the Marvel universe. Lori 3040 gives us an update. $7.96 is the hourly rate for a server in North Carolina. So can you imagine trying to live off of that if you have a bad night at work and nobody decided to tip you well? Good golly. What is this country coming to? Angie says, in the show Blackish, they said that every tradition or whatever in the U.S. can be traced back to slavery. Yes, this country, the customs, the structure of this country. And look, I don't want to get like crazy political. I just want to recite facts, and we can just go with that. But the structure of this country is based on that disparity, that discrepancy. Like, let me just quote Hamilton. In the play Hamilton, they mention that over and over, that Jefferson says how he's from Virginia and they are providers, and the idea that their agriculture is what helps support the Union or helps support the United States at that time. And Hamilton points out, hey, we know who's doing all the free labor, bro. We know who's doing the planting. We know the backs of human beings that you are just not paying to do all this work. And that's why you're wealthy, because you're not paying your labor force. Thomas Jefferson had many children with, what was her name? His concubine. There are many Black Americans today who are part of Thomas Jefferson's family and are finally officially recognized as part of his family and his lineage, which is just so crazy, right? Good golly, why can't we just join these ideas together? What is so hard about that? I feel like even Strom Thurmond, do you guys remember that senator? I think he was a senator or representative. Strom Thurmond he was ridiculously old. He was 100 years old senator. And he denied that he had a daughter, a black daughter. He denied it for decades, and then she proved it. And she was about 80 at the time. How funny is that? This guy's 101 and his daughter's 80. And she was like, by the way, here's the genetic evidence that I am your daughter, you racist dude. Even though he was like outwardly like promoted racist policies, you know, he liked chocolate. He enjoyed the chocolate. That's what I think is going on with a lot of these racists, a lot of these homophobes, and a lot of these people who hate groups. They straight up, that's the thing they really enjoy. They really like it, but they hate that they like it. Because Strom Thurmond was notoriously racist, but he had a black daughter, which is hilarious at the same time. That's called cognitive dissonance. He's like, what? But he's like, I like chocolate too much. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just own it, bro. Just own. Yeah, it's true. It's true. What's up, Kelsey? How are you? Omar Z8386. Omar ZS. Is that like the Mars Volta? Wait, Veronica, you're drinking 5 cups of coffee a day? Time out. Veronica, if you're drinking 5 cups of coffee a day, how are you sleeping? Are you sleeping at all? That's why you drink 5 cups. You don't sleep. That's what you're doing, I see. Very cool. You know, they do have artificial hearts, so that's good, in case yours explodes. Speaking of artificial hearts, what's up with Dick Cheney still being alive, huh? Dick Cheney was supposed to die 20 years ago. He had 14 heart attacks by the time he was 12. I don't understand how the guy's still alive. That dude is working on his 3rd heart, and it ain't even lunch yet. And that was just for breakfast. I make jokes that Dick Cheney probably survives by eating the souls of babies. That's probably that's probably the thing that keeps his blood flowing. Dick Cheney's like, I'm dying. I need to eat another human soul. Dick Cheney is a vampire. I don't know what's going on with that guy. Vice president shot a dude in the face. Now we have 2 American vice presidents who have shot somebody while in office. Aaron Burr and Dick Cheney. How funny is that? Remember Dick Cheney shot that guy in the face with birdshot? I thought that was, I mean, the guy was okay. He wasn't blinded or anything, but he got a face full of birdshot. And Dick Cheney was like, I missed. Sally Hemings, thank you guys. Condyland, hello, welcome. Angie, thank you for that. Sally Hemings. You know, it's funny because I think if Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, I know that the family members are officially acknowledged as Jeffersons now. Like the Jeffersons moving on up. I think they should be entitled, obviously, to his estate or parts of his estate if there is anything remaining. And I'm sure that's probably what's happening, or maybe they're fighting over it because they're like, well, no. And it's like, okay, well, they are legitimately his family members, so I don't understand why we can't just distribute his wealth to his family. Isn't that what it's all about in America? Distributing, like handing family wealth down? I guess unless you're black and your ancestors are the founding fathers. Weird, right? That's weird. I'm all over the place here. Cameos. You guys remember Chuck Norris in The Expendables? Chuck Norris shows up a lot. He showed up in The Expendables. I liked those movies. Did you guys like The Expendables? What are you guys up to today? It's a beautiful day here in Los Angeles. It's always sunny. I do think that Stan Lee's cameos in the Marvel movies are probably the greatest. What did you guys think of which is your favorite Stan Lee cameo? Mine would probably be I don't know. There's a few that come to mind. I like the Tony Stank one, and I like the fact that he's the informer of the Watchers or whatever. You guys can update me. Yeah, the Expendables. Are they making an Expendables 4? And why isn't The Rock yet in one of these movies? I feel like it's time to bring in The Rock because The Rock will come in and make your franchise better. It's like ketchup making your French fries better. Matt Damon as Thor, that was yes, Lori 3040. Yeah, that was awesome. Lori 3040 is referring to Thor Ragnarok, which is that's one of my most enjoyable Marvel movies. I can watch that anytime. I just laugh the whole time. It's very funny. But Matt Damon is doing a play within the movie, play within a play, where obviously Loki is posing as Odin and enjoying watching them reenact Loki's death. And, well, Matt Damon played Loki. And you know who played Thor in that? The other Hemsworth. The Hemsworthless, the third one. There's Liam Hemsworth, there's Chris Hemsworth, and then there's like Kevin Hemsworthless. I don't know his name. I forget his name. But I recently watched a movie with Kevin Hemsworthless in it. I think it's Chris .2 Hemsworth. I don't know what you would call him, but Chris .2 Hemsworth played Thor in the play, in the movie Thor. So it was hilarious. He looked enough like him. Very funny. Luke Hemsworth. Thank you, Angie. I don't mean to disparage him. He's just not as popular as the other guys. I recently watched a movie on Netflix with him. If anyone else has watched this movie, let us know. But it had it had Luke Hemsworth in it, and it was just a bad movie. And I watched the whole thing. And it's a really funny movie because it reminded me of a movie from the 70s called, if I can remember the name of this movie, it was actually a really dope movie. It was where there was a house and the house itself it was like HAL from the movie 2001. The house was intelligent. It had a central intelligent agency. It had a mind of its own, this house. It became self-aware, the house, and then the house trapped the woman who lived in the house. And it's kind of a crazy, weird, rapey movie, to be honest. It's actually, yeah, now that I think of it, I'm like, wow, that was pretty rapey, that movie. So the house impregnates the woman who lives in the house with its own, it's weird. It becomes self-aware. It figures out how to cross the boundary between humans. It's kind of like Star Trek, the first Star Trek, but I guess with more rapiness in it. I hate to bring this movie up now, but the woman becomes pregnant with the house's baby, and then she gives birth to the house's baby. This is a real movie. If you guys remember the movie, let me know. I forget what the movie. Let me see if I could. 70s. It has a very famous woman in it. Very famous act. I know it. Demon Seed. That's what it's called. It's, you know what it's like? It's literally Rosemary's Baby, but it's like, except for the devil, it's a house. Did you guys see Rosemary's Baby? Hey, Jake A. I know, Jake. I'm sorry I brought you into a weird discussion, Jake. I gave you a shout out earlier, though. Hey, I was talking about a movie called Demon Seed, and it's very much like the movie Rosemary's Baby. And if you remember Rosemary's Baby is the son of the devil, or the child of the devil. So the devil comes to her in the middle of the night, and she has the devil's baby. And then there's a movie called Demon Seed, where there's a house that becomes self-aware and does the same thing. Yeah. Here's the description, which is pretty dark. Yeah, Julie Christie is in that movie. It's by Dean Koontz. It's based on a movie book by Dean Koontz. I remember the movie being creepy because the baby was creepy. The baby was like a robot human baby. Oh my God, yeah, Candyland. Oh, here we go. Yeah, these are good. Donald Trump Remember Donald Trump in Home Alone 2? Little Rascals. Wait, Donald Trump was on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? You guys have to update me on that. I don't remember that. I do remember that when I pulled up to the house, I thought that this... I pulled up to the house around 7 or 8. And I said to the cabbie, yo, home, smell you later. You know, that's probably the greatest TV theme song ever. There's a hidden verse in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. Wait, did he get edited out of Home Alone 2? Ah, Hot Shots Part 2. That's a great one. The one from Hot Shots Part 2 with Part 2. You gotta say it the right way. You gotta be French about it. You gotta say Hot Shots Part 2. Those guys were so dumb, the Zucker Abrams Zucker guys. That's the cameo where they're both on the river and Charlie Sheen is on a boat and Martin Sheen is on a boat, and as they pass each other, they look at each other and they say, what did they say? I loved you in Wall Street. That's pretty good. Really, Donald Trump was the potential buyer of the house in the last season of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Good golly. Oh my God. You know what? I can't go on thinking that Donald Trump lives in that fictional house. A fictional Donald Trump lives in the fictional kingdom of Bel-Air. That's crazy. Donald Trump? Whatever happened to that guy? I mean, I see he's crazy, right? I mean, he's like legitimately insane. Like his brain doesn't work right. He's got a bad one. He's got a bad brain, right? Does it not work right, or what's going on with him? Did you guys catch that rose garden yesterday? Yeah, Lori 3040. Michael Jackson in Men in Black 2 was pretty great. I want to be Agent M. Agent M. Because his name's Michael. I thought that was pretty good because he did look like an alien at some point. Michael Jackson stopped looking human and started looking like the animated version of Peter Pan at some point. It was kind of uncanny. I feel bad when people have that much body dysmorphia that they have to change their entire appearance to not even look normal. I loved you in Wall Street. Let me catch up on some of these comments. I feel like, I don't know, what was Orson Welles ever in anything? Yeah, you guys ever watch those Orson Welles wine commercials? Ah, the French. Oh, the French. Don't you say something? Aren't you saying something? There's a very famous series of outtakes of a commercial from the 70s where Orson Welles was selling a wine, and he was drinking the wine every time. He was just going like, every time they gave him, they poured the wine for him, he had a line, but he would forget it. He would just drink the wine and be like, there's something I'm supposed to say. No, the French. So good. No, the French. Rest in peace, Orson Welles. May you always be Unicron in the 1987 animated feature for Transformers. Here's to Unicron. Your final role, Orson Welles. Creator of the greatest cinema in all of history. One of the founding fathers of all of cinema. Genius, as it were. I got it. It's insane. Played Macbeth. Ooh, that's pretty good. Orson Welles. You ever notice that Pinky and the Brain, like the brain sounds exactly like Orson Welles? That's not an accident, is it? I don't think so. Ah, John Hurt and Spaceballs. That's a good one. John Hurt. Now Angie is reminding us all of the scene in Spaceballs at the very end where John Hurt is there, and if you remember him from Alien, the little baby thing. I feel like baby Dr. Yoda should burst from my chest every time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Baby Dr. Yoda. I'm a xenomorph.
He's an alien parasite, this guy. John Hurt came back to reprise his role as the dude who gets his chest bursted by the alien in Spaceballs, and he's like, oh no, not again. Which is funny, because I didn't realize when I was a kid, when I first saw Alien, I didn't realize it killed you. I just thought it came out of your chest. I didn't put the two and two together. I was a dumb kid. I was very dumb. George Harrison and Monty Python. Oh, that's good. Bring out your dead. Yeah, we talked about pirates yesterday. Lori 3040 brings up George Harrison in Monty Python and Life of Brian, and Keith Richards in the Pirates of the Caribbean. George Harrison in those movies was so funny because he bailed out the Monty Python guys. The Monty Python guys were going down the tubes. They got their funding stripped from them because they were making fun of the church in Life of Brian. You might not know this, but the British government England is a religious state. It is headed by the Queen, who is also the head of the church. So when we talk about countries in the Middle East that are Islamic states, UK, England is a Protestant state headed by the Queen. So this is kind of why it gets weird when we talk about like religions and whether or not society. America is not like that. We have separation of church and state and freedom of religion. They also have freedom of religion, but you know, the Queen is a figurehead, but she is the head of the state and the church. So that is kind of a weird thing that's different from England. And when they found out that the Monty Python guys were making a movie that was making fun of the church, the investors pulled out because they were like, we don't want to upset the Queen. We don't want to upset the Queen. Run away. Run away. Because basically, the Monty Python guys were farting in the general direction of the Queen, and they didn't want that. So they pulled the funding, and then George Harrison swept in and was like, I've got millions of dollars. Here's a couple millions of dollars to finish your film because I think it's funny. I've read the script and I think you guys are jolly old chaps. And basically, George Harrison just gave the Monty Python guys some money so they can finish making the damn movies because they were in the middle of filming when the investors pulled out. So that's pretty rad. And then George Harrison shows up in those movies, being a legend that he is. George Harrison seemed very stiff upper lip kind of guy, but he had a great sense of humor. I don't remember Patrick Stewart in Robin Hood Men in Tights. I do remember Dave Chappelle in that. And I'm like, when I watch Robin Hood Men in Tights, or when I think of it, because the last time I saw it was in the movies when it came out. When I think of Robin Hood Men in Tights, I think of how old is Dave Chappelle if he was like the main guy of that movie, and that movie was from 30 years ago. That's insane. I think Dave Chappelle was about 19 or 20 when he did that movie. Yeah, the coffee, you gotta keep refueling on the coffee. How many coffees are we in today? How many coffees you got? Hey, CL Hodge 11, Great Britain and the Queen rules. Thank you. Great Britain is quite nice. I enjoy it. You guys have good tea, but you know what we think about your tea sometimes? We like to throw it over the side of a boat into Boston Harbor. Because we're like, what does this have to do with the price of tea in China? Yes, Great Britain is wonderful. The empire is dwindling though, isn't it? Wow, Dave Chappelle was 19 when he was in Robin Hood Men in Tights, and you know what? He was funny. I liked Dave Chappelle. One of his latest specials, Dave Chappelle was like, I was always funny. I was always good at this. He's like, no, I've gone on stage and I'm always funny. And there's a weird thing about his confidence that's funny. Because you're like, well, I guess I can't argue with that. I've been watching you on my TV for 30 years and you constantly made me laugh. So I think it's funny that you acknowledge it. Because that in itself is meta comedy. He's referring to himself being hilarious. I think that's hilarious. There's a weird like compounded meta humor about that. If you're like, I'm so damn funny. You're like, well, you are funny. And it's funny that you should say that you're so funny, but it's also true. He's really nailed it. That guy has nailed the whole comedy trifecta. It's insane. Any other cameos that you like? I liked Anthony Daniels in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. That's the only thing I like about that movie. That movie is a terrible movie. It is the worst Star Wars movie. Maybe right next to Episode 9. It might go Episode 9 and then Attack of the Clones, but they might flip. I know people are going to say that's controversial, but you know, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is kind of a crap movie. It is a ton of garbage thrown at your eyeballs for over 2 hours. And then it's kind of a kick in the nuts at the same time. What Star Wars Episode 9 is someone putting a garbage can over your head and then kicking you in the nuts. That's what that movie is. I don't have any ill will toward it at all. Oh, Stephen King and Pet Sematary. That's a good one, Jake. That's a good one. Jake's going to be our guest on Monday. We're going to start doing guests. I'm going to get some guests in here. We're going to stream some guests. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have a chat live. Stephen King and Pet Sematary. Stephen King has a really interesting deal with his books. Every time he publishes a book, he also sells the movie rights at the same time. So when he sells his manuscript, he also sells the movie rights. So every book that he has published since the early 70s or something like that gets optioned to be turned into a film. And that's why we've seen so many damn Stephen King movies. Somehow they translate really well into movies. The one thing I think that's weird about Stephen King novels and books and, stories, is that there's often just a random thing that happens that explains everything, and I don't like that. Or there's something that there's no explanation for a lot of things, and then later he tries to explain it in another book. For instance, every time I think of the movie The Stand, the TV movie The Stand, or the book The Stand, here's a spoiler alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At the end of the book and the movie The Stand, which we are living in right now, by the way, The Stand is about a plague that kills like 97% of the human race. Something ridiculous. Or maybe like just 1% of all humans survive. So there's only a few 100,000 or something like that humans, or a few million. And they all have to find each other and rebuild society, because those are the select few that are just naturally immune to the plague that is taking over, that's killing everybody instantly, basically within a week. And at the end of the movie, there's a deus ex machina. Literally, there's no allusion toward this the whole time. You're just wondering why this plague is just killing all these people. And then suddenly, the hand of God comes out of the sky, and the sky opens up, and then the hand of God stops a nuclear warhead from going off. And you go, wait a minute. Just wait just a damn minute here. I've been watching this miniseries for a week with The Stand, with Dauber from Coach, M-O-O-N. That's a fingernail moon. I've been watching this all week, and suddenly, now there's this idea that God just came out of here and fixed everything at the very end. It's not unlike the movie It. I haven't seen It Chapter 2, but I have I remember seeing It, the miniseries on TV when I was a kid. And at the very end, they were just going, spoiler alert, everyone. If you haven't seen It, plug your ears. But at the end of It, it's a giant spider. By the way, it's just, it's just a giant spider. What? What? It's a giant spider. Prince on New Girl. Lori 3040. That is a good one. Prince on New Girl. Here's a story about that I heard about Prince being on New Girl. You know who else was supposed to be in that episode? The Kardashians. And Prince found out that the Kardashians were on set when he arrived that day. He didn't check to see who else was on the call sheet, I guess. But Prince saw that Kim Kardashian was supposed to be in that episode as well. And he said, guess what? I don't want to be in this episode if Kim Kardashian is in this episode. I refuse. And then they said, but Prince, she's a big get. You are probably the gettest of the gets. You're Prince, for Christ's sake. And he said, well, make a choice. It's me or Kim. And they promptly ushered Kim out the door and canceled her cameo so that Prince could, because he just refused. He's like, now in a vacuum I go, well, Prince is like the toppest level talent you can get. He is one of the most talented humans in the entertainment field in the last 50 years, hands down. And then he's basically going on a show with Kim Kardashian, who's arguably talentless in that she doesn't have a musical talent. She doesn't have an acting talent. She doesn't even dance. She admits to not dancing. She says that she goes out there and then when she has those pictures where she's at parties, she just poses like this. And then they take a picture and it looks like she's dancing. So she doesn't dance. Prince famously brought Kim Kardashian up on his stage and asked her to dance along with the music while they were dancing, and she didn't. So he said, get the F off my stage. So I don't know if that happened before or after that, but apparently Prince had some beef with the Kardashians and was like, I'm not going to be on the show if I'm on the same show as the Kardashians. Really insane TV drama. Fun stuff. That was a fun cameo, though, Prince on New Girl. I did watch that episode. That was one. I did watch the first 2 seasons of New Girl, and I do remember watching the cameo one with Prince. I love that Prince had those sunglasses with one of the lenses up here because it was a third eye. He was so cool, Prince was, that he had to put a lens over his third eye. His pineal gland, as it were. M-O-O-N. That spells pineal. Yeah. Oh, they might make another It movie that Pennywise survived. Oh, I heard about that, K-Ferg. I heard that they were going to try to maybe take... Because, Sarsgaard and It and the Pennywise and all that is kind of... I mean, the whole point is he comes back every 17 years or 27 years or something like that. So if he comes back every 27 years, they could just keep making It movies and they can keep going back. They can make prequels. Even if he didn't survive, you could just say, through the centuries, have Pennywise terrorizing people as a carnival barker or whatever you want to call him. But, Hollywood, they try to make that money. They try to make that money, you know what I'm saying? They go, hey, how do we turn this into a series? Hollywood is Justin Timberlake in the social networks. Social network. You know what's better than $1 million? $1 billion. That's what Hollywood thinks. In for a penny, in for a Pennywise. In for a Pennywise, in for a pound. Oh, were you that Prince for Halloween? Yes. Get that fro out. Hey, Angie. Let it fly. Angie got the fro out. Well, thank you. Yes. Wear the fro. Loud and proud. Get it out there. Well, what I'm going to do, this is just the way my hair is. Why I got to change it, right? This just is. Someone asked me one time, they said, how long does it take you to do your hair in the morning? It's my friend, actually. My friend I'm gonna call him out, Raj. He's funny. Raj is a funny, cool dude. I think he just had a sincere question. He's like, how long does it take you to do your hair in the morning? And I said to him, well, I wake up in the morning. The man with one name will always win. Yeah, Lori 3040. Prince. What was Prince's name? It don't even matter. His name was like literally Prince. His name was Prince. I like that Michael Jackson named his 2 kids after himself and Prince. Like Prince Michael and Prince Michael II. Uh-oh. Yeah, Angelo. You in July and you're on the Delta. So and you're on the Gulf of Mexico. It's gonna get warm with your fro. Angelo says she has a very similar fro to mine. And if you don't have a fro, let us explain to you what it's like. It gets warm. Prince Nelson Rogers. That was Prince's name. He's like, I don't need no Nelson Rogers. That reminds me of Nile Rodgers. He got funky. Remember Nile Rodgers? What was that song? Nile Rodgers hung out with the... Where's the Popcorn Passport? We need to play his theme song. Prince Nelson Rogers.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I might look... Don't let me alarm you with my appearance. I'm a little alien. I'm only 50 years old. But in alien years, that's very young. You know, by the time I'm 18, I will have been 900 or whatever, however that math works. So when you see me in Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back, I'm 19 years old in human years. How weird is that?
Remember the ETs cameoed in Revenge of the Sith? Y'all remember that? It's true. E.T. cameoed in that. Oh, I'm knocking everything over. I'm going to have to clean that up later. What do you guys have planned for the day? Me? I've got some things I got to do. I got another voiceover audition later, which, by the way, I feel like it's becoming a diminishing return to do the constant voiceover auditions for my agent, through my agent, because I don't know these casting agents. I'm doing it's good practice, it's fun, but every voiceover I've gotten was through a third-party website or just YouTube. And every time I try to do it through these channels, I feel like the same 3 people keep getting the jobs, which is because people know them. It's a weird political system. I'm not sitting there saying that I am entitled to have a job as a voiceover artist. However, I would like to have one. I would like to have a job every now and then to get paid, and I do. Sometimes, maybe once or twice a year, I'll get a little voiceover gig and it's fun, and I'll get a couple $100 and I'll say, well, look at that. I have something for my portfolio. However, it's a very political system. There's so much nepotism involved. So that's why we're going to just turn this show into the thing. We're going to turn this show into all of the fun stuff. We're going to have guests. We're going to have fun. We're going to play games. We're going to play music. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about all of the fun stuff and build our own community and just say, you know what? If you can't join them, beat them. That's what I say. I don't know if I could send my... Well, Condyland, you ask, can you send voice demos into networks? Is that a thing? I don't think so. What you can do, though, is just do stuff. Just do stuff creatively. Create your own show. Jake A., I want to give a shout out to him and his wife. They're being doves and helping out with the show in whichever way they can. And you guys can help out with the show, too, which is to pledge $1 or $2 a month to the Patreon or tip on Twitch or something like that. But we're going to just keep going on up. We're just going to keep going on up. And I think the deal is Condi, to answer your question, sort of, is to just create your own situation. If you can't get on a show, create your own show. If you can't get on a voiceover, create your own situation where you can do voiceovers and have fun. Because obviously, if we're all here today having a fun time, we're building our own community, so we can create our own content. Why not? We'll make our own demand for the things that we like to do, and the things that we like to do together. That's basically my approach to all of this. That was when I was touring with a music situation in a band. A lot of times, the old model of the record label was to find bands that were promising, and then that the record label would offer a recording contract and pay for recordings of that band and help develop that band. There would be development deals and stuff like that. But in the last 15 years or so, bands have just had to create their own recordings, do their own touring, and make their own imagery, basically create the entire package themselves. And then a record label would come along and say, oh, look, this fully formed entity. Why don't I just give this fully formed entity some more money to grow? So record labels stopped becoming involved in that kind of situation, in developing bands. They don't really care about developing bands anymore. And that's very much like Netflix. That's very much like a lot of these different streaming networks. They don't care to really develop things. They want a fully formed thing to land on their doorstep that they can just push money into because they have the audience. They have the platform. So let's create our own platform. Let's create our own audience. Let's create our own thing and enjoy that and enjoy it our damn selves, because you can now. You can do that. We can do that. Audiobooks. I feel like if I were to read audiobooks, Lori 3040, that I would go off on tangents like the president did in the Rose Garden yesterday, which I thought was hilarious. I watched that Rose Garden press conference yesterday, and you see the president's like reading. He's reading a speech. 7 years ago, 4 score. Score is what's that? 20 years? 20 years is the score, and 4 score. How many is that? What is that? 87? That's 87 years. More years than anything. 4 score and 7 years ago, our forefathers. Who has 4 fathers? What is this? How many fathers can you have? 4? You can have 4 fathers? It was just insane. It was insane, guys. I think it's funny watching a guy. I mean, admittedly, it's not too far off from this show. He just starts reading and then going off on tangents. Got about 1 minute and 45 left on Instagram. If you want to hop over to twitch.tv/Aristotle Full Throttle, you can continue watching the show. You can continue watching the show. You can subscribe. You can donate. You can also pledge $1 a month to the show. Help support it. Help it grow. Oh, I just came up with that. That's fun. Pledge some money to the show. Help support it. Watch it grow. Look at me. I'm in Hamilton. Look at me. Hamiltons. So do that. Support it. Help it out. It's fun. Thank you, CL Hodge 11. Thank you. I'm glad that somebody's clapping. I'll tell you. Citizen Kane. Remember that movie? So good. It's like 80 years old. 90 years old. Okay, so let's do an animated space opera that involves a legendary group of warrior priests and, oh wait, yeah, Dune. Hello. And Star Wars. Dune and Star Wars aren't that far apart. I mean, as far as as the whole family drama goes. Yes, this is on Patreon. You guys can support on Patreon. Patreon.com/Aristotle Full Throttle. And also, if y'all want to join the discussion ongoing, here we go. Here's the Discord. Jump in the Discord, and we can continue chatting. I enjoy that everyone is chatting with each other because this is a community. We're building a community here. We're having fun. This is the new abnormal. Let's enjoy it. Let's figure it out. Let's be proactive about it, like the acne cream. See you guys tomorrow on Instagram. Let's Be proactive, just like the acne cream I said. Yes, I did. So let's have fun. K-Ferg, if people have ideas for things they want to see, let me know. I would like to do those things. I enjoy creating weirdly limited animated things. If we want to do some fun realizations of stupid jokes, we can do that. I guess Angelo says, aren't they both technically Westerns, Dune and Star Wars? Yes, there's lots of sand involved. I love the idea. You know what I think? I think it's a little bit of a shortcut if you want to create a Star Wars movie or a sci-fi movie that takes place in the future, in space. It's kind of a shortcut to say that you're on a desert planet, because then you don't need to pay for, like, sets. You'd be like, this is the future. And you just, like, you can just put your jacket on backwards. Me and my cousin used to have this joke when I was we were teenagers with the same age. I used to wear my jacket backwards, and then the collar would go across my neck like this, and it would be seamless in the front because it's the back of the jacket. And I'd put it on, and then we would call that I'm the soldier of the future. And so every now and then, I would become the soldier of the future, and I'd put my jacket on backwards, and he's like, "It's the soldier of the future." And I'm like, "I am the soldier of the future." It was really dumb. Come to think of it. Hilarious when you're a kid. He's the soldier of the future, watch out. His jacket's on backwards. So basically Dune is that. Their jackets are on backwards and they're walking through the desert. I am from the future. Muad'Dib. Cowboys versus aliens doesn't count. You know, Cowboys versus aliens was such a genius idea. I don't know why it didn't. It's such a great idea. I would want to go see a movie called Cowboys versus Aliens straight out of the gate. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. And then I watched the movie and it just kind of fell off the rails. You know, Harrison Ford, Cowboys. Who else was in that? James Bond was in that. What's his name? Tom Clancy. What's his? Give me a second. I can't remember names for anything anymore. I don't know what's going on with me with that. Give me a second here. I can do it. James Bond is currently played by... My Jeopardy skills would be done for. Y'all on YouTube are like 10 seconds, 20 seconds after me, so... I'll see it pop up any second now before I can Google it. Why can't I remember... Daniel Craig. Thank you. Popped up at the same time as I saw it. And I read it. Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig, how can I forget that? It's 2 first names. I feel like I know a Craig Daniels. Jeff Daniels. I think it's just this time of day that my brain is half awake. Which also means it's mostly asleep. That's how math works. So we're gonna wrap it up in a few minutes, but I think the best cameo has to be Daniel Craig in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. You remember that one? If you didn't know, Daniel Craig is in Star Wars Episode 7. He plays a stormtrooper. And when he gets Jedi mind tricked by Rey, you will... What does she say? You will release these shackles and open the door? He's like, I'll punch you in the face. She's like, you will let me go. And he's like, I will let you go. Goodbye. And you'll drop your weapon. And I'll drop my weapon. That was one of my favorite parts of The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens being a watchable movie. The Last Jedi being the best of the sequel trilogy. Star Wars Episode 9 being one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I kid, guys. I know that there's some love for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. I know there's a lot of love for that movie. However, I can't like it. I don't like it. I've watched it 2 times. And both times I watched it, I was just I was just cursing. I was punching the air. Oh, you're supporting the fro. Thank you, Lori3040. I appreciate you. Thank you for being a supporter of the fro. Get the fro growth going. People like Angie and myself are very appreciative of your fro support. Yes, Shy. Raj is absolutely lovely. Raj is one of my favorite people. He's a fun guy. Raj has got such a story to tell. He's got so many different lives he's lived. I actually hired Raj to be my camera assistant or the video assistant on a job a couple years ago because I was hired to be the photographer for Tanamanjo. I was her photographer for the promo for her tour 3 years ago. Do you guys know Tanamanjo? She is a very popular YouTuber. She was nice. She gets a lot of flack for being dramatic and being crazy, quote unquote, and being all over the map, but lovely to work with, to be honest. I can't really say anything bad about Tana Mongeau, even though her fame on YouTube is for being, she's very popular for creating all of this YouTube drama, and she's very popular for being like all over the place and stuff like that. But worked with her for a good 10 hours and she was very easy to work with and very nice and sweet. Crazy, right? Crazy how people, what they get famous on doing, or at least how she looks in the public eye, where she looks super dramatic. You can Google her. Nice to see you, Shy. How's it going, Shy? Have you gotten any calls for work? I was just saying how we're going to turn this into the new thing. This is going to be the new thing, and we're going to turn it into a fun time and an entertaining and entertainment platform. That's what it's called. Thank you, Lori3040. Every little bit of help counts, and it helps it grow. And we can help expand. Anyone see Robot Chicken E.T.? No, I haven't, but I have seen the Star Wars ones. Something, dark side. So much fun. Robot Chicken. Yeah, basically, let's just be Seth Green. We can be Seth Green together. Let's just make our own thing. See, that's exactly the inspiring type of person that I feel like he's a good model for what we want to do here. We brought up Chuck Norris earlier, but didn't tell one Chuck Norris joke. Chuck Norris breathes air 5 times a day. Chuck Norris's tears cure cancer. Too bad he has never cried. Yeah, Candyland. Those are good. Chuck Norris is pretty good. I heard if you shave Chuck Norris's beard, he doesn't have a chin. He's just got another fist there. Pretty neat. You know the Chuck Norris jokes are about 20 years old, yet then they did the most interesting man in the world campaign for Dos Equis, and you know that they based those on the Chuck Norris jokes, right? They have to be based on the Chuck Norris jokes. So good. What else? What else is going on with y'all? I want to know how you're doing. You're working in the office there? There's so many good Chuck Norris jokes, and I'm glad that he's still alive, because he's still tough. He is the caricature of hypermasculinity, and he's kind of a joke, and you can tell that he thinks it's funny. He goes along with the whole Chuck Norris being the machoist of macho men. Chuck Norris has a really cool history, actually. He was in the Vietnam War and he saw people doing, I remember hearing him tell this story that when he was in Vietnam as a teenager, he saw people doing all these like spin kicks and stuff, and they were like, "What's that?" And they were like, "Oh, it's Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu and whatnot. It's martial artistry." And he's like, "I like that. I want to do that. So then he stayed there and learned it. And he learned how to do it. And I'm not really sure about the history of Chuck Norris, but there needs to be a documentary on Chuck Norris. And that documentary it's probably Chuck, starring Chuck Norris. Starring Chuck Norris's fist. Here's Chuck Norris's documentary. It's just, if Chuck Norris punches you in the face, you see his life flash before your eyes. You missed the train. It's all good, Will. We'll get you back tomorrow. You can start the stream over. Man, I would love to hear someone with a nice voice read erotica. So far, the samples I've been listening to are laughable. They're breathy, pause for too long. How about this? How about this, Shy?
These look like big, strong hands, don't they? Wouldn't you like a back rub?
How's that?
I would like for you to wear nothing.
The rock biter. If the rock biter read erotica.
Your arms are like limestone. They're very stiff. Let me massage this knot.
I don't know. In my imagination, the rock biter is a masseuse. A creepy masseuse. Danny DeVito photos. The big toe, yeah. Bane from Batman, imagine.
Hello, Batman. Batman.
You got to do the Bane. You have to go like this and see my armpit.
Batman.
I need several different masks in order to do these voices because I feel like when I'm on camera it looks weird. So I have to do this.
Batman.
Yeah. That's you can have gay cosplay erotica between Batman and Bane. Batman's like,
I'm not wearing any pants.
and Bane's like,
Batman, come sit on my leg, and I'll break your back.
I don't know. I'm not wearing hockey pants. I think that would be... It's like listening to anime dub read erotica. Angie, I love that version of Bane because Angie says she hates that version of Bane, but I love that version of Bane because he goes for it. Tom Hardy goes for it. He's just like,
I'm going to be a crazy dramatic guy. Batman.
Pete Holmes is Batman. I'll check that out.
Batman.
The Rockbiter, Bane, and Batman. Yeah. That's weird. I guess you can't have your erotica be too breathy. I'm just imagining Bane in It's funny that Bane, like Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy only shows his face once in The Dark Knight Rises when he gets lost in the crowd. Ah, yeah, that's true. I like Bane as a character. I think it's pretty cool that there's a guy that's stronger than Batman and just as smart. I think that's a pretty cool dynamic to have. He's just as tactical and smart, has all the same training as Batman, and is substantially stronger. However, his weakness is he needs to continually have that drip in the back of his neck in order to stay strong. I mean, I always say that Bane, Tom Hardy's Bane, looks like Darth Vader and Sean Connery had a Bane bee. Well, guys, I think we've covered it all. I think we've covered all kinds of all kinds of. We went from all sorts of things. We went from Demon Seed to Batman. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that comic book image of Bane breaking Batman's back. I remember reading that comic book for the first time going, wait a minute, how is Batman ever going to recover from this? He got a broken back. You can't even... Why is it... I like that in the movie, The Dark Knight Rises, the guy just goes, oh, here's your vertebra is out of place, and he just punches it, and then Batman was like, thank you for the back surgery. Now I can walk again. I wish someone would do that with my back. I have a back. I have a slipped disc. Well, guys, remember, if you want to keep the discussion going, here's the Discord link. Y'all can sign up on the Discord and keep on chatting. I have to make my way to a voiceover that is due in an hour and a half, so I have to set that up, start that, and turns out you got to read about the character, and you have to also come up with a voice for that character.
I think I'll talk like this, whatever the character is. If the character needs to be an anime erotic character, it'll be like this.
Bat crop bacter. I can't understand that word. I ran out of steam. Ran out of steam today. Thanks for your encouragement, Will. Do good, be good. That's all I got to say. Work hard, be kind. This is the fun spot to be. And this show would literally not exist. There would be no... this would just be me shouting into a microphone if you guys weren't here. It's kind of like a tree falling in the forest. Does it even exist? It only exists because of you. So thank you. Y'all are the best. You're the best audience that anyone could ask for. The discussion is always lively and fun, and I like all your haircuts. Well, guys, thank you so much for everything. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe. You stay safe, Angie. Stay air-conditioned. Stay hair-conditioned. Okay, I'll see you later.